Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
I love the nurses that come and see me.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
Since I learned about Angel Care, I would recommend them to anybody.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching, and thanks as always to the producer and editor of our series, Jeff Duvall. Also thanks to Brandon Cooley behind camera number 2 today. We're at Fort Hays State University's track and field facility, the new operation that's located just off the 183 bypass next to the soccer complex, with Fort Hays State Athletic Director Curtis Hammeke, our Community Connection. Curtis, it looks a lot different than the time we were here about 6 months ago, I think.
Yeah, it's come a long ways. It's come a long ways. We've still got a little ways to go, but it's come a long ways.
This is now the track and field facility that is the official Fort Hays State track and field facility, now in use.
Right. Well, we're trying to get ready for our first home meet, actually, which would be scheduled for Saturday, April 1st. But with the weather we've been having, finally got some rain, which is a good thing. So it's kind of a catch-22, is playing havoc with our field event areas, which our grass is not very mature in those areas yet, and so it's pretty muddy out there. So looking at maybe moving our Saturday meet to Friday to start the season, and we'll see what happens in the next few days rain-wise, but we're trying to get underway and get this thing started.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? It hasn't rained for 6 months around here. So we schedule a visit to the track and field facility and a big weekend of events that were to kick off the weekend.
Yeah.
And it starts raining and it's about 40 degrees out. So that's the reason we're in the training room
That's
here
right.
as part of the facility. But let's talk about some of those features, because later on, if the weather permits and the rain breaks a little bit, our producer Jeff Durall is going to try to get some outdoor shots of the new facility.
Yeah.
Tell us about the features.
Well, I think it's just an outstanding facility, actually. You know, we got obviously the running lanes, the track, and we've got a 9-lane track. On the infield out here, as we look at the facility, the triple jump and the long jump are located inside, as well as the pole vault and the high jump. So all those events will take place within this facility here, where sometimes those in other places, like when we were over at Lewis Field, those were outside the interior of the facility. So for fans anyway, having the triple jump, long jump, and pole vault and the high jump, all those events right there inside the facility would be nice for pretty fan friendly in that regard. Outside of the facility over here to the east are throwing areas, you know, so you got shot put and the javelin and the discus and those type of things located out to the east. And that's the area that's kind of undeveloped at this point in time, where it's just going to take a little more time for the grass to grow. But then we have the press box, of course, up here, and we're sitting in the athletic training room where, you know, our athletes will be able to get treated right here on site. And then next to this, we have a concession stand area and a storage area. And then we have a meeting room next door here that allows athletes to congregate a little bit there, and they can have meetings and watch videos in there of some of their performances. So that's in a nutshell the whole setup to this point in time. And then as we move forward, and we haven't got to this point yet, but because we are still raising money for some of this, you know, and we hope to add lights to the facility yet, and then a permanent scoreboard, and then this plaza area out here, we're really excited about some things that outline the history of the program. We'll have a tribute out there to Alex Francis, of course, and a chart that reflects our All-Americans and all of our records and that type of thing. So you'll be able to see kind of a history of the program when it's all said and done. So we want to outline that out here in this little plaza area where most people will have to pass through at some point in time and have a good glimpse of what the history of the Tiger athletic track and field program has meant through the years.
Well, as athletic director, here's your chance on this fundraising, because I know that's always a big part of it. talk to that camera there
Yeah.
and tell people how they can help, Curtis.
Oh yeah, well there's a lot, we have a lot of options, but certainly just even the naming of the facility is available. Now that's a pretty steep price there. That's going to be, over $1 million probably to get the naming, because this whole facility cost about $3 million. We're running north of that a little bit yet on doing some of the accessory things that we want to do to make it even better and make it complete, that I just alluded to some of those things a moment ago. So we also have an option at $50,000 level for naming certain events. For example, the javelin area, and we'll put up a little a plaque there that would outline whoever we name it after. So if we name it after Mike Cooper, for example, it would have a little biography about what you'd accomplished track-wise out here. And
It'd be a very small plaque, Curtis.
but as an example, we can do that at every event. So, we have that set up like we have over at the softball field, for example. There's a concrete deal that sits up about 3 feet off the ground with a plaque on it that really outlines. And so we can name each event, and what we're asking on that is $50,000 contribution, and we can then name that event, the javelin area, after a certain person if we'd like to. And that's just all intended to help generate funding to make the whole thing work. So that's part of the process. There's several of those opportunities available still at this point in time. So we're holding off until August, and on August 26th, which is a Saturday, and that's actually the day that we have our Tiger auction. But on that given day, I think at noon, we're going to have the actual dedication of the facility, and hopefully have a few more of those things done. Now I don't want to say we'll definitely have lights up, for example, at that point in time, because that's going to hinge on generating the funding. We're looking at about $200,000 yet to generate, as it would relate to lights and a fixed scoreboard that we want to have out here. Right now, we're going to use a portable scoreboard temporarily as we're getting started here. So hopefully by the fall, we'll have most of those pieces in place and be ready to move forward with the facility. So it is an ongoing process with generating funds. The university, because of the reasons we had to move out here, I think was to allow for some on-campus development in terms of residential life. And when that facility was being built over there, that took away a large part of our field events and the like, which that's what's originally brought us to this facility here, and the need for this facility.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, was the need for the facility and the fact that the campus is growing and needing more space, basically.
Yeah, I think we have to keep in mind the futuristic vision of things, and sometimes that's hard. The traditional with the Alex Francis track and Lewis Field Stadium, that's hard to walk away from, and I think emotionally that's a difficult thing for any of us to do, for our track coaches, our athletes, for our alumni. But we have to look down the road sometimes, and looking into the future, given what was happening on campus, this was the right thing to do. And as we look again into the future, this is going to be an outstanding facility. So we have to take that situation and spin that into a positive and make this a very positive environment. And I think the really nice thing is that our athletes, our student athletes, and our coaches in the sport of track and field and cross country have a facility to call their own, and they can branch off of that and really turn that into a nice facility. It'll take some time, to mature and let the trees grow up around out here. And because once in a while it blows, the wind blows here a little bit occasionally. And but with the soccer facility just to the north here, it starts to create a little bit of a complex out here, which is nice for us. And I think, again, looking forward, moving forward into the many years to come, we'll be very proud of having this facility here.
Oh my, yes, it just blends very well with the soccer facility there, and of course well used, obviously.
Yeah, I think the main thing is just functionally, this is a much better area for us to be, rather than separating all of our field events from our track events, which is what we would have had to do if we didn't come out here and build a new facility. And if you separate those, it's hard for fans, it's hard for athletes, it's hard for coaches. So we felt it made a lot of sense, to go ahead and build an all-encompassing facility out here. Like I said, the hardest part of that was just the emotional ties to walking away from something that's been there for so long. And us Germans out here, we just don't like change. And so this is certainly change, and we're dealing with it, and we're dealing with it in a very positive manner with an outstanding facility.
Now, is this going to be hosting not only collegiate events, but high school events as well, Curtis?
Yeah, we'll host high school events or some high school regional events. and you know, local teams here in Hayes, like our middle schools, will even sometimes have an event out here. So it'll have collegiate and high school and even some middle school events out here.
I'm glad you tied the event of August 26th, that Saturday, of the official dedication of the facility here at the track and field facility to the Tiger auction.
Yeah.
Because that is certainly a very important part of support for Tiger athletics.
Yeah, it's been a huge addition to our funding stream, you know, to support athletics. I think as we're all pretty painfully aware of the state funding resources drying up at times and getting more and more challenging. So the Tiger auction has been very, very pivotal in letting us go ahead and move forward with our programs and create some new things, do some facility development, some facility enhancements. But it's kept us from going backwards more than anything else, and that's been a nice thing.
Overall, Fort Hays State athletics, where are we, Curtis? Give us a kind of a snapshot of how we're doing.
Well, I feel like we're doing pretty well. You know, we had a great fall with all of our fall sports, and then a pretty dang good winter. I think we got All-Americans in track and wrestling, and you know, had the great football season, great soccer seasons, volleyball had a great year. Both our spring sports right now are struggling a little bit, baseball and softball, but I think all in all, things are really looking good out there, and we just have to keep constantly, despite the funding challenges that everyone's going to have at every university, we have to keep finding ways to move forward and not go backwards, you know, or stay still. So it's an ongoing process to keep. We're a very challenging league with the MIAA, and we want to keep driving forward to represent our university in the best way we can.
Well, you know, as a spectator strictly, and listening to Gerard's broadcasts, you know, and attending events like that, it's really an integral part of the community to be able to support athletics at Fort Hays State by just showing up and enjoying the fun.
I think that's true, and I think it's a really an opportunity to unite various constituents. I mean, your community here in town, your alumni base, people from the university, but to bring them together in a common cause. And the way I always say, you know, you look at athletics it is free advertising, so to speak, and there's a lot of exposure that comes with it. Whether it's good or bad, you're going to get the exposure, so we'd like to make as much of it good as possible, because it is going to provide exposure for the university. So that's our challenge, is to make sure that as much of that as exposure is good.
We've got about a minute left. Curtis, once again, revisit that late summer dedication event for August 26th.
Yeah, August 26th, and then I think right now we're scheduled that around noon because there's an alumni run that morning. So it's an alumni cross-country run. They'll do that over in Victoria, and then bring them back over here, probably have lunch and have the dedication. Then we'll get ready for the auction. So that'll be a big day. And then on homecoming, we're going to have kind of an open house out here. So for the alumni, people that this is really important to, that aren't here on the 26th, then we'll have a 3 or 4 hour time slot. So it's kind of a come and go deal, to where, because there's a lot of dedications going on campus and things that they want to get to. So we don't want to pigeonhole them into one hour or something like that. So we'll make the track and field facility available during homecoming as well for people to come see and give tours of.
Well, I certainly hope you're proud, because when we look at this facility, it's something to be proud of, Curtis.
Well, we're very proud, and I'm proud of this university and proud of our department and our community. So, yeah, well, this is one more step forward.
From the training room of the Fort Hays State University track and field facility, Fort Hays State Athletic Director Curtis Hammeke, our community connection.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
My Angel Care physical therapist taught me how to do exercises safely.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
It gives us independence in our home.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.